Hey all, Ron Coddington here from Military Images Magazine. Hoping you all are having a great evening and had a great day. Um, I wanted to touch base with you about one of the stories that appears in the just released autumn issue of the magazine. This is our Illinois themed issue. And as I've mentioned on previous broadcasts, I've reached out, cast a wide net with the help of Austin Sundstrom and so many members of the photo collecting community to collect images to showcase in the issue. And in casting that wide net and going around to different Civil War shows and chatting with folks on the phone, messages and email, one of the collectors that I met up with is Randy Beck. And Randy is a longtime contributor to the magazine, a longtime collector of Illinois images. And in fact, Randy was one of the co-authors of our 1991 Illinois gallery. So great to have him in 1991 and 2022. One of the images I scanned in Randy's collection is pictured here. And the journey of discovery about who this man is was just one of my favorite recent research experiences. What makes this image unique is not so much what he's wearing or the fiddle that he's playing. He's dressed in civilian clothes and he has a musical instrument. All that is great, but what's on the back of the photograph is a really neat period inscription. And I've got it. I've got a printout of it right here. It's a carte de visite, and it's got a stamp on top, so you know it was published between 1864 and 1866. So I'm going to read the inscription to you, and so here it is. There's a couple of abbreviations in here. I'm going to I'll do my best to make it clear. Here it is. First colored man ever in William Jackson's home. He was Ad A. Jackson's cook in the Civil War. His name was Hannibal. A. Jackson was captain of their company, Company I, 12th Regiment, Illinois Volunteers. So that's the inscription, and I'll give you a look at it here, and you can see a much better reproduction of it in the magazine. And so I've seen a number of these images with inscriptions on the back, and I have seen Black men being referenced in various ways. What struck me a little bit odd was that he's referenced as a cook. And so I sort of thought about that for a little while, and it dawned on me that it's possible that the reason that he's called a cook is because he was a cook in the Union Army. My first thought he was probably a servant or a personal attendant to this officer. So I looked up the officer, and his name is Addison A. Jackson, and he was in Company I, excuse me, I think I said Company G, but it's Company I of the 12th Illinois. His record checks out. He was enlisted, served throughout the war, went through the Western Theater, comes up around the Carolinas, and is with the regiment in North Carolina at the end of the war, goes to the Grand Review in Washington, and then the whole regiment heads back to Illinois, musters out in Springfield in the summer of '65, not too long after Lincoln's funeral train arrives in Springfield. So I'm thinking, well, let me use technology to see if I can figure this out, because all I know is this guy's name is Hannibal, and he had some connection to Addison A. Jackson in the 12th Illinois. So I go onto the Civil War database, which all of you who do Civil War research know it as HDS. I go on HDS, and because you've got the search box and you've got some ability to filter your results, I basically typed in Hannibal and said, show me everybody named Hannibal who served in Illinois. And so I hit the button and I get the results. I forget how many men there were, maybe a dozen, maybe 24 guys, certainly not more than that, named Hannibal. So I start clicking through them one at a time. And sure enough, I find a man named Hannibal Turner who served as an undercook in the 12th Illinois Infantry. And so I'm getting pretty excited at this point because I'm thinking, is this man that I only know as Hannibal the cook, is this actually Hannibal Turner, the undercook or an undercook in the 12th Illinois? So then I go on to Fold 3, which is Ancestry.com's military branch of their genealogy collection. And I do a little bit of searching, and of course, I'm able to find his record, and there he is, Hannibal Turner, a colored man who is an undercook in the 12th Illinois. So pretty clearly, this is the guy. This is the same guy. And I do a little bit more digging into Hannibal Turner, and I find out that his residence, the residence he gave, is Camden, South Carolina. Now that's interesting. So I do a little bit of searching into the history of the 12th Illinois Infantry, and guess what? In February of 1865, as Sherman's army is moving up through the Carolinas, the 12th goes through, you guessed it, the Camden, South Carolina area, and they stay there for about 3 or 4 days. And so I don't know it for a fact, but the fact that the 12th Illinois was in the vicinity of Camden for 4 days, and at some point afterwards, Hannibal Turner joins them, makes a lot of sense. Add to this that Hannibal Turner's, the farm that he was enslaved on was located about 10 miles east of Camden. So somewhere along the line, Hannibal Turner, living near Camden, connects with the 12th Illinois. By the time they get to North Carolina, and I believe it's around April 1st of 1865, Hannibal is mustered in as an undercook. And for those of you who are not quite so familiar with the military ranks of that time period, beginning in 1863, they allowed for every white company cook in a Union regiment, they allowed that white cook to have 2 black undercooks. This is done partly because they're trying to improve the health of the soldiers and trying to pay more attention to their diet and trying to give the cooks more support. But it also proves to be a way for men of color to begin to join the Union Army. As the War Department is getting a better idea of how to integrate soldiers, this is one of those incremental moves. So here you have Hannibal joining the 12th Illinois as a cook, as an undercook. He stays with the regiment, travels to Washington, goes to the Grand Review, goes back to Illinois, goes to Springfield. Near Springfield is Addison A. Jackson's home, and Addison A. Jackson, now the captain of the 12th Illinois, his father is named William Jackson. And when we look back at the inscription where it says the first colored man ever in William Jackson's home, we now know that Addison Jackson's father, William. So Addison took Hannibal to his home and met the Jackson family. From there, Hannibal goes down south, joins a U.S. colored infantry regiment, and serves for a little while longer in the Civil War, or actually in this case, the post-Civil War time, as many of the black regiments in blue are making up the garrisons of various towns in southern states. So the story in Military Images goes into more depth than I've given you here. And I think you'll enjoy the story. The ability to connect the dots between an inscription on a photograph, knowing only that his name was Hannibal. He was described as a cook. The name Addison A. Jackson in the 12th Illinois Infantry led to the identification of this man as Hannibal Turner. So if you're interested, get a copy of our latest issue. You can subscribe on shopmilitaryimages.com. You can get a digital version, you can get a print version, whatever is best for you. So there it is, Hannibal Turner story. To learn more, go to shopmilitaryimages.com. Thanks a lot for listening. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye.